Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sports Timeout. I'm Anthony Polidano. In today's show, we're breaking down the Winter Sports Player of the Year award winners. And then in the second half of the show, we'll have our fearless predictions. And for today's show, as always, Kevin Lozano from The Source joins us. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, it's about time you had me back.
Well, with the writer's strike, people were saying that there wasn't enough comedy on television, only reality. But on Timeout, we combined comedy with reality with you.
Yeah, I am reality and you are comedy.
No, I meant you're both.
Oh,
That's
both?
okay. Your reality
okay.
is
yeah,
comedy.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, winter sports season.
Which seems like yesterday, according to the weather outside.
Yeah, in Michigan. It could come up again in the future, too.
Sure.
Start out with girls basketball. It was a good year. We had Ford did very well. Very good team. Withstood some injuries to win the district title. Stevenson was kind of a surprise team. Other than that, kind of a fall off in the quality of the year of our other area teams. But starting with 4, working your way up to 1, who did you have 4 through 1?
For the top players, 4th place, I had Lauren Bonus from Eisenhower. She was a freshman this year. I think the sky's the limit for her. She can handle the ball, she can drive to the basket, and she can spot and shoot. I think she's capable of double-doubles pretty much throughout the rest of her career over at Ike.
We had a real good freshman class of girls in area basketball this year. I think with some of the teams not doing well, they could go to freshmen more and lean on them, and she was kind of at the head of the class as far as the freshmen go.
And then third, I had Talitha Robertson from Stevenson. Had an outstanding season. She kind of spearheaded that Titan attack. At times in each game, she played all 5 positions, which is almost unheard of. Yeah. And she's versatile. She could take the ball to the basket. She could rebound. It was nothing for her to get 15 points, 9 or 10 assists, and 8 or 9 rebounds. She's going to be missed next year over there at Stevenson. There's no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. Second place, I had Allie Drews. This is my comeback player of the year or unsung hero or whatever. Mm-hmm. She was dominant inside for Ford. She has that little 6-foot baseline jumper down. She was the piece that team needed early on in the season when Lace Harris was out and when Meredith Smith was out. They needed somebody to go with Leah Jones and score, and Kelsey Razak did also. But Allie was one that really stepped up, I thought, and asserted herself. And then number 1, Leah Jones, a little point guard from Ford, 2 guard, wherever you want to put her. She took over for Emily Joseph and just filled in the shoes perfectly, from a leadership role. Whenever you needed a big bucket, she was there. Whenever you needed a steal, she was there. She dives on the floor for everything. It's been great watching her the last 4 years.
My top 4, I disagreed with you a little bit. I had Michelle Blaine from Eisenhower, number 4. You look at her and you think she's not the most coordinated girl, certainly not the most fluid, athletic girl, but she just gets it done. She does a lot of things very well for them. She's got a lot of height, but yet she plays the guard position. She's very long, great defender, especially when the team's trying to inbound the ball. Sterling Heights had a real hard time doing that against them in the playoffs. And the second half of the year, she was one of the most consistent players in the MAC. She had a double-double pretty much the whole second half of the season. So she was very solid, averaged 12 points, just over 8 rebounds a game, a couple steals and a couple assists for them. And then number 3, I agreed with you. I had Talitha Robertson, number 3. Certainly, as you said, the most versatile player we covered. And not only did she play multiple positions in the same game, she would kind of take on multiple roles within the same possession. She was their best ball handler, so she would be the press breaker to bring the ball up the floor. She'd hand it off to another guard, and then she'd get down on the blocks and be down low. She set school record for points in a season, points in a game there, which that was nice to see. She was a 4-year starter, very consistent player, a good influence on the other girls, and a good leader, and really helped Stevenson have a good year. My number 2 was my dark horse, if you would, Courtney Zammit. And the reason I took her over Robertson as a number 2, I just felt that when she was on the floor, Stevenson's offense and team had an entirely different dimension. She was a player that was even more off the radar last year than Allie Drews because of injury, but she's got great feet and really great hands for the size she has, being 6'2", really soft hands. Just barely missed the school record for free throw percentage in a season. So someone who's a center who shoots that well at the line and gets there a lot is a big-time bonus. But, she averaged 12 points and 8 rebounds a game for Stevenson this year. Little trouble with fouls, but that was her one little Achilles heel. But I thought she got better at that as the season went on. And number one, and we talk about sometimes, this was so hard to pick. We couldn't. I thought it was pretty easy this year. Leah Jones is number one. And the thing I liked about Leah, in years past, she hadn't made it through a whole season healthy. She would consistently have ankle injuries or these little nicks and scrapes and bruises and stuff that come up mainly because of her style of play. Like you said, she's always diving on the floor and going for loose balls. And I thought this year she would be a good point guard by playing defense and distributing. But I didn't think you would see her score a lot. But really, she averaged 14 points a game. She was pretty much as good a scorer as Emily Joseph, shot 35% from three-point range, and didn't quite have the mid-range game that Emily Joseph had, but really a pretty darn good scorer. Had a 30-point game herself this year, set the school record for assists in a game, and a great leader. And Ford's been fortunate; they've been able to pass the baton from one point guard, to another over the last couple of years. So.
I think it's safe to say there's so many players that could have made our list.
Yeah.
There are players that have been left off the list that are worthy to be on it. It was good talent around here this year.
Right. The winner was unanimously Leah Jones, getting 60 points, which is the highest votes possible, with 6 first-place votes. Talitha Robertson was second. Kelsey Razak was third. Great player for Ford. She'll be back next year. Zamet was fourth. Blaine fifth. Allie Drew sixth. Jamie Skiba seventh. And Lauren Bonus eighth. Now we flip over quickly to the boys' side, 4 through 1. What do you have?
At fourth place, I had Mike Hollingsworth from Utica. I thought he really picked it up this year and took on that leadership role. I think the sky's the limit for him next year. I mean, this kid might average 25 a game next year.
Yeah.
Third place, third, second, first were tough. You could have interchanged these 3 kids. I had Nate King from Ford. I thought at times Nate tried to take over games too much on his own. And I think it kind of hurt Ford, and then he got in some really foul trouble in a few games. So that's why he kind of fell behind my second place guy, which is Justin Braggy from Ike. Justin, I thought during tournament time really picked it up for Ike. And number 1 was Kyle Hunt from Ford. I thought he just had an outstanding season. He can do it all. He can rebound, he can score, he can dish it off. He makes steals. He just makes that team very good.
I disagreed with you a little bit. My number 4 was Chuck Barone, the Chuck Wagon. Again, a lot like Michelle Blaine, the fact that he was certainly not the most athletic kid out there, but really just tough as nails and kind of one of those hearts of a warrior, so to speak, and a guy that Brandon Lemley loved. Just raved about him for his last 2 years there at Ike. Could go up against much bigger, much more talented guys and be able to hold them. And he did it staying out of foul trouble. He wasn't just hacking everyone there, but very unselfish player, very underrated as a passer. I thought he was very good in that regard. 3, I'd agree with you with Hollingsworth. Just an electrifying offensive threat, 35 points in the playoff game against Lance Cruz. Not only a very good slasher, taking the ball to the basket, but very good from outside.
He was spot up, shoot it.
Yeah, and especially later on in the season, he really knocked down the threes. My number 2 was Nate King. I thought that where Hunt was, very steady and stable his whole career, and Nate, you saw someone that you said early on, well, this kid shows flashes, and a lot of times you'll hear that from coaches, and that's all you ever see from the kid is flashes, and then they disappear. Nate turned flashes into flashes of games to streaks of good weeks, and I thought he was very consistent this year. He just kept growing as a player. He started as an inside guy only, and he became a ball handler, inside-outside guy. This year averaged 17 points, 7 boards a game, and shot very well. I think it was 5th all-time at Ford in field goal percentage, so that's pretty good. And Kyle Hunt, easily number 1. A guy averaged almost 10 rebounds a game as a guard. A great scorer, able to put the ball on the floor, take the ball to the hole. A little inconsistent on the outside shooting sometimes, but a good passer. He had the long arms, so he was a very good defender. That was an area of his game that really grew.
And he can play 3 different positions.
Yeah.
He can go from point guard if you have to shooting guard to forward.
Yeah, he was a pleasure to watch. He actually, when he finished his career at Ford, was their all-time leader. When you think of all the great names at Ford over the years in games played, he was third in field goal or free throw percentage in his career, 79.1%, fourth in points, and third in steals. So that puts him amongst some select company there at Ford. And as luck would have it, he's a winner for Player of the Year for his second year in a row, unanimously, just like Leah Jones. Yeah, back-to-back years for him. 60 points. His teammate, Nate King, second with 28. Mike Hollingsworth finished third. Brady was fourth. And then Brian Garbarino, who was a nice player for Utica, finished fifth. Alex Lowry at Sterling Heights would have been better with more talent around him. Exactly. He finished sixth. And Barone and John Orlando of Eisenhower finished seventh. But, not as hard of a year this year to decide as years past.
But now I think it's time to think spring.
Well, in a minute, we'll look ahead here in a second. We'll take a break, and we're going to go over our spring predictions. Get out the laugh track. We'll hear Kevin's picks.
Yeah, and Anthony's.
Salam.
Jam.
Salam. Ewa.
Rita.
Apa ya Pak?
Pa.
Mir. Shanti.
เงียบสงบดี
We all want the same thing,
Peace.
and Rotary clubs
Sola.
are making it happen.
Lucky.
Come to
Through international scholarships for young people to promote peace and understanding
La Fei.
around the world.
Semear is the high.
Rotary. Humanity in motion.
Sterling Heights has 3 drop-off recycling centers. One at the Department of Public Works on 18 Mile, a second on 15 Mile near Baumgardner Park, and a third on Clinton River Road across from Gainsley Drive. Just recycle it.
This is only a test.
Versus Sterling Heights. We'll start with the
Game of the week airs each day at 10 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. This was only a test. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.
And welcome back to Sports Timeout. Time now to think spring, and we'll start doing our little predictions.
Don't think too much.
Yeah, that's right. It is Michigan, so it could snow in May.
No, I'm talking about your predictions. Don't think too much.
Yeah, well, anyway.
Yeah.
Starting out with baseball. This could be a very good year for baseball. What do you like in the MAC Red?
I'll tell you what.
And tell me why you like what you like in the Red.
I'll tell you what. The MAC Red is going to be a war. I mean, this year I think anyone can beat anyone on any given day. I mean, you could have legitimately 5 teams that could win the division championship. Mm-hmm. I have to go with Stevenson. I mean, they have a ton of pitching. They have a ton of key returning talent. They have speed. They can hit the ball. They play solid defense.
Pretty good coach there, too.
He's all right. I mean, just since he's won a state championship, they kind of put him into another level.
Right,
but,
right.
His head hasn't swelled too much. But no, I mean, he surrounds himself with a great staff. Uh-huh. I mean, sometimes I think the staff is almost as good as the coach.
They would tell you that.
Yeah, but I got them winning it. I mean, the only thing I think they can hurt him is if Steve Pistono or Trey LaRock, if they go down due to injury. They're the 2 big guns. But they have so many just little key pieces. It almost reminds me of the state championship team of how they got a couple studs, but then they got all these other kids and players who will surround them and are solid ball players.
So I agree with you that I had Stevenson winning the Red. When you compared them to that state championship team, I look at this team right now, as they've only played a couple of games this season, I look at them as a regional champion team. I don't look at them as a state title team. I think they probably have state title pitching. I think their pitching is good enough. I think the speed is good enough, but the lineup is good, but it's not as good as deep as it was back that year. Year 1 through 5 are very good hitters with Wood and LaRock, and Pistono is an underrated hitter. They've got some thump in the lineup, but it's not quite as deep as it was.
But I think the one thing we learned back when they won the state championships, pitching and defense in a tournament when you win your baseball games.
Yeah.
And I think if they get that far, 2-3 runs a game isn't out of the question. Maybe the pitching will hold through.
But the funny thing is, they didn't win the division that year when they won the state title. So you said, it just because one of these teams doesn't win the red doesn't mean they got no chance to win the whole thing.
Grosse Pointe South.
You're right.
Won it that year. Second place, Dakota, another solid baseball team. A lot of returning talent coming back there. I mean, that team, a lot of those kids on that team know what it takes to win a state championship from football, winning it back-to-back years. Chippewa Valley, I have them slotted in the third spot. Just another team with, there's so much talent coming back this year, right straight across the board. Romeo could be the sleeper this year. Everyone's kind of saying, what does Romeo have? TJ DeWan does a great job up there with those kids. He gets the most out of a little. But this year he's got returning talent coming back. Austin Delmont just tossed, I think, a one-hitter the other day, 1-0 win, and he knocked in the game-winning RBI. I got Ike fifth. Ike could maybe be new
Jason
coach.
Gendro.
Jason, he's got great talent. I mean, they lost Jed
Bradley, moving out of state.
He could be the one piece that they're lacking from making a legitimate run to the state title. Sixth, I have Utica, and I have Ford seventh. I think Ford is still a year away. They have a few solid seniors. Haitius is solid. Spencer Halt's been there for 3 years. Now, they have pieces there, but they need to get all those pieces on the same track.
Right. Dakota, I have them number 2. Them and Stevenson's going to be a great
we
dogfight.
agree
I
on the
know,
first two.
it's unbelievable, but no love lost between those teams. So those would be some exciting games to see. I've got Ike 3. JV was 25-2 last year.
Exactly.
And when you bring up a lot of those kids together, that chemistry is still there. They seem to have nice kids. Gendro is a real positive guy. Saw him in a game earlier this year. He's congratulating the other team every other play.
But they have to adjust to varsity baseball.
Right. That's true.
The big thing.
And as you said, losing Bradley is a big loss because once Pistono went down, I thought Bradley was the best pitcher maybe in the county last year, aside from Borzak at Ford. So I do have them third. I do like Ike. Then I have Chippewa Valley, as you said, good quarterback. Then Romeo. Then Utica. Losing Trevor Pliska really hurts them. That's a big loss because even though he was only a sophomore, I mean, you could kind of project him.
It's probably 8 wins right there on the hill.
Uninjured through his senior year. He was going to, we'll see how this affects his career.
Right.
Still have some players there. Ford, they don't quite have the pitching. They don't have any kind of dominant arms that a lot of these other teams have. They play really good defense. Spencer Hall and John Kozak are outstanding defensively, but you're right. They're going to have to because they're not going to hit the ball out of the park every other inning either. So.
And you better hope they don't get into a slugfest with the pitching they have.
Right, exactly. So that's the red. As far as the gold goes, Sterling Heights, kind of like Ford and Utica, they don't quite have the arms. They have some good young talent with Vitsotsky and Kazumplik, but Bobby Lindsay still has his work cut out for him a little bit down there being in the gold. I have them fourth in the gold. I picked Lamphere on top, but honestly, how much do I know about the gold? Not very much.
Yeah, I don't own too much gold anyway, so.
Exactly.
But no, I picked Lamphere on top. I know Marine City was solid last year, and they have a lot of pieces coming back. I picked Sterling Heights. I think Sterling Heights is the up-and-coming team. I think Bobby's still a year away, but like you said, he has a lot of young talent coming in here. He told me a year ago, he said, you know what? He goes, I got talent coming up, and he goes, I just need to teach. I need to teach. I need to go over fundamentals and get these kids stronger and get the confidence going.
If he can find himself a power arm, that might help too.
Yeah, David Godell, though, it could be that power arm, and so I think this is the year they make their move. I don't know if they're good enough to win the championship, and then the rest of the division, who cares?
Well said. All right. Now on to softball. Speaking of great leagues and great teams, the MAC Red in softball is a heavyweight division. I've got Stevenson at the top of the pack. Their lineup, really 1 through 9, is just outstanding. They really only lose Liz Culberson off of last year's team in terms of an impact player, and she was an outfielder. But, Jessie Plague dominated Regina to start the season. She's
number 1 in the state, number 9 in the country,
you
Regina.
throw a 3-hit shutout with 10 Ks. You're pretty good. I like Stevenson number 1. Certainly not going to be easy. I got Dakota number 2, which is starting to look like the juggernaut that you would think a Dakota team could look like. They're rounding into form quite well. Chippewa Valley is always good. Claire Cannon there. We'll see about the pitching. They don't have Sills there now, so
From what I heard, they have a young stud back there, and it's like you're not even gonna miss Sills.
right. And then we got Romeo, who's a quality team. Then Utica, Becky Dyer is a sophomore. We'll see what she does. She's improved her freshman year last year, but we'll see if she takes that next step as a sophomore. Churai was pretty good behind the plate, and of course Lauren Heisted, who's might be the best individual player in the MAC. Then I've got Ike, who, they're still young, and it's still not working out too well for them at this point, and Port Huron Northern on the bottom.
I have Stevenson number 1. I think from top to bottom, they're the best team in the division. I think that win against Chippewa Valley last year in the district final catapulted this team for this season. I mean, confidence-wise. Dakota is honorable mention right now in the state rankings for the High School Coaches Association. I have them 3rd. I put Chippewa Valley above them. The track record that Dave Prestonese has over there, and like you said, Claire Cannon, and they do have pieces back from that team. They just reload every year. I mean, I have Romeo 4th after Dakota. Ralph Victor does a great job up there. I mean, Chippewa Valley and Romeo are ranked or honorable mentions every year in the top 10. And Utica's not bad. He has young talent. But in this division, 5th place is not a bad place to be.
Right,
I mean, and with an upset or two, maybe they'll jump into 4th or 3rd.
Right.
And then Port Huron Northern and Ike rounding it out.
Stevenson, though, like some of these other teams at the top, the heavyweights of the red, they look like they're there to stay, especially with the core of the team being juniors for the most part, other than Ashley Coffin.
If Jesse Play goes down, they're in trouble.
Well, this is true.
That's the big question mark. Defensively, I think they have depth all around where they can fill in spots, but it starts with pitching with them.
I agree. All right, on to Ford. New coach there, Jerry Anderson, and a little bit of the new, little bit of the old as Dan Barnabo comes over, the longtime legendary baseball coach at Ford, comes over to be the assistant, and I'm curious to see how Barnaball will translate to softball, because in baseball, Barnaball is all about bunting and being aggressive and catching the teams off guard, but in softball, bunting is already such a big part of the game. We'll see. You're not going to surprise teams as much with the bunt because they're more prepared for it. And, I'm curious to see. Coaching girls, obviously, a totally different animal than coaching boys. But there's a lot of talent at Ford.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of talent at Ford. And Coach Barnabo has been with his daughters, who have both gone through Romeo. His daughter right now is a senior, finishing out her career at Romeo. So he has experience in the game of softball. The White's going to be tough. I don't know if you want me to start with my predictions, which I will anyway.
Yeah.
But I have Grosse Pointe North winning the division with Marine City 2nd. L'Anse Creuse North and Ford, they can flip-flop. I have L'Anse Creuse North ahead of Ford right now. Ford's going to rely on Joe Colt. Like I said, starts at pitching. And then I have St. Clair 5th, Lakeshore 6th, and Anchor Bay 7th.
Yeah, they have high expectations for Colts this year. Last year she was a little up and down, but she added some new pitches this year. I like Kubisky a lot as a hitter. Bucheri is a very good hitter. Colts herself is a good hitter. They've got some good returning pieces, but they decided on their coach so late that they go 3 weeks into the season where all these other teams are accumulating games before they start their first game. You have to see if that's going to hurt them or help them. We'll see. I got Anchor Bay number 1. I got Ford number 2, even with the late start. I know you got the Tars on the bottom. I read someone's preview that said they should be a good team, and then he picks them last in the white. But then I got
It wasn't me that said that.
I got Marine City, then North, then Lakeshore, then L'Anse Creuse North, then St. Clair. What about Sterling Heights? New coach down there, Christina Harlan.
Yeah, Christina Harlan, former Stallion, taking over the reins over there. I picked them 3rd this year. I think they're playing good defense. Ashley Lapicola, right now she has to cut down on the walks. She has good velocity.
An understatement. 13 walks in the opener against Utica, and then Boudet came on and walked 5 more.
If they can throw strikes, they play good defense. They're not going to need to score a lot of runs. That's another problem right now. They're hitting the ball hard. They need to get 2 or 3 runs, and then Lapicola needs to keep them in the game. I got Southlake winning division, followed by Madison, then Sterling Heights, Clintondale, Mount Clemens, New Haven, and Fitzgerald.
I think Lapicola has big program stuff, but doesn't have big program control yet, obviously. She's got the stuff. She struck out Heisted, which will happen about 1 or 2 more times this entire year. So it tells you that Yeah, if that. So it tells you that she can pitch, and she's got the stuff. It's just control and not getting rattled too bad. You know, if you walk a couple people, being able to bounce back. I think they're going to hit the ball plenty. Defense, in my mind, will be the question with them a little bit. But I do think in the MAC Silver, they're all the way down the Silver now. This is a team that could use a winning season.
Oh,
It's
definitely.
been a long. None of those kids existed pretty much the last time they had a winning season down there.
Didn't they have one with Coach Crepet?
Well,
No?
not in the last decade. They haven't won. And the last district or league title was 1985.
Were you even born yet?
The Gipper was president. Yeah, I was born.
What were you, 2?
I wish I wasn't born.
Who
I
were
was
you?
10.
Oh.
All right, so South Lake, number 1, jerk. Sterling Heights, number 2, Madison, 3. What's an Oakland County team doing in the Silver? I don't know. New Haven, 4, Mount Clemens, 5, Clintondale, and then Fitzgerald. So Sterling Heights, it's certainly there for the taking. On to soccer now, so we don't get beat down by Coach Mondu and the soccer folks there. What do you got?
Oh.
Well, after your pick, now he's going to come to your house. And
Soccer, the MAC Red's loaded again. There are probably 3 or 4 teams in this division that have the chance to maybe get into the state semifinals or even win a state championship. Ike and Stevenson are the 2 top dogs, I believe. I saw Eisenhower already. Haven't seen Stevenson yet. Just from my sophomore Eisenhower, they play very controlled. They need to learn how to finish. They have a very solid goalie in Hind. I got them winning the division. I think it's going to be close. I mean, I could see them sharing it with Stevenson.
Yeah.
Stevenson has great goalkeeping. They have good firepower up front. Don't miss those 2 games when they play each other. Those are going to be dandies. So I have Stevenson second, and then I have Grosse Pointe North third, followed by Chippewa Valley. Coach Haggerty always has got one of those gritty teams, and they're never afraid to throw the
Skineski
weight.
is a dynamo
Exactly.
for them. She is so fast.
And I have Grosse Pointe South fifth, and then Ford sixth.
With new coach. Stacy Rogers, who will be coaching against her sister, who plays for Ike, Shelly Rogers. I've got Shelly Rogers and the Eagles 1, but like you said, they could easily share with Stevenson. But we make you pick 1 and then 2. We can't say tie here. But the difference with Ike this year, we'll see if they can stay healthy. They've had key components of their season, mainly Rogers and some other parts, missed big chunks of the season the last few years, and that's really hurt them. I think they have the depth, though.
That's what I was going to say. They have a lot of
Stevenson.
freshmen up there. They're very good very good soccer players.
So I've got Ike 1, I got Stevenson 2. Frontline players are outstanding, great goalkeeping. We'll see with the depth, though. But like you said, Chippewa Valley 3rd, then North, then South, and then Ford. Work cut out for them.
Oh, yeah.
In the red, but Stacy Rogers has the pedigree. She's gonna be a good coach there, and
she's bringing that Ike program to Ford now with all the experience she had when she played there.
Exactly. All right, where do you got Utica in the white?
I have Utica second in the white. I have Fraser winning the division. I think Utica's problem is they need somebody to go up top with Gambino to score. Whether it's Trish DeLuca, they need somebody to counter her. And because Gamble can't, or not, Campbell's hurt.
Yeah.
Gambino, I mean, is she can't do it all. She's super fast, but she needs somebody to help her up top. I have Romeo 3rd, I have Cousino 4th, L'Anse Cruz North 5th, and Anchor Bay 6th.
I got Fraser winning the division. I've got Utica 3rd. Rachel Cheney, a freshman, is an impact player for them. Real quickly, over to the blue. Things turning around for Sterling Heights.
Big time.
9 freshmen. So that's a good sign for them. Alex Clues is the one that I really like amongst them. Kelsey Young, also very good. 9 freshmen, though. That's going to be a good sign down the road. I've got them second in the division, only behind Lakeview.
I have Lakeview winning it. I have Sterling Heights 3rd. 9 freshmen who can play.
Right.
And produce. And then they got the stopper on defense with Tuzolino playing in her senior. So good mix there. Goalkeeping. That could be the thing for them. Port Huron Northern second, followed by Sterling Heights and Warren Woods Tower, Port Huron, and Dakota.
All right, well, speaking of stopper, we're out of time. Take a breath.
All right.
Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
That does it for this edition of Sports at Timeout. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching. Get out there and check out the games. We'll see you next time.